B'meisha. B'meisha yaitza, b'mei eni yaitza. With what can a woman walk out on Shabbos? With what can't she walk out? Lo teitze isha lo b'chutei tzemer. A woman should not go out not with strings of wool. Lo b'chutei bishan, no strings of linen. Lo b'tzur shebarosha, not with a belt on her head. Lo titpo, and she shouldn't toivel them until she loosens them. Lo b'tatafos, that's like instead of a tefillin, that's an ornament she wears on her head. Lo b'sanbutin, it's ornaments which come down on her cheeks. B'zman she'ein tefur, if they're not sewn on to her hat. V'lo b'kovel, a kovel is another type of thing she wears on her head. The Gemara is going to explain what it is. The Rishus HaRabbi, she may not wear any of these things out to Rishus HaRabbi, to public domain. In a chotzer, we're going to see she can wear them in a courtyard, but not a public domain. V'lo b'Yerushalmi Shabbos, not in a jewelry, the replica of Yerushalmi. V'lo b'Ktola. A Ktola is a kind of choker. We're going to learn, see what it is in the Gemara. V'lo b'Nizamim. Nizamim are earrings or any other kind of rings, which attach to the ears or the nose or whatever. V'lo b'Tabashin lo chaysem, nor with a ring which doesn't have a seal. V'lo b'Machat in a kuva, nor with a machat is a needle which does not have a hole in it. If she did wear these things all out to Rishus HaRabim, again we're all going on Rishus HaRabim here, Eina chayav chatas, she's not chayav chatas. Rav Nachman bar Yaakov Amar, why shouldn't she wear all these strings in her hair? Because she loosens them because they're a chatzitza when she's in nida and has to go to the mikveh. And when she loosens them, she's going to walk with them. She's going to forget. Walk with them 4 amos. Originally we said, before we heard Rav Nachman bar Yaakov, we said, that she's going to undo their seams on Shabbos, and that's what we're afraid of. V'lo hava armin klum, and we were not saying anything, meaning that what we said was wrong. In other words, it was incorrect. It's not because we're afraid she's going to undo the seams, but because she's going to loosen them and carry them. Okay? Tana Rabbi Yeshua. Now, once we're on the topic though of undoing, we bring in something completely out of left field. Tana Rabbi Yeshua, chaysel shel tamorim. If you have a basket weave of dates, we had this at the end of Shabbos in the Bavli, koleo matir, you're allowed to close it and open it, uvad shel ikshor, as long as you don't make knots, okay? And this is part of the issue of opening containers on Shabbos. You're allowed to open containers and close containers as long as you don't make knots or untie knots. Getting back to our topic, Talmud Tzina, we learned over there, elu chetzitzim b'adam, these are chatzitzas by a human being. What are they? Chutei tzemer, these strings of wool, chutei pishon, strings of linen, baratzuos and belts, shebaroshe abonos, which are on the heads of girls. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel said, lace kan shel seor. This is not talking about where the strings are made out of hair. Hair is not a chatzitza on hair. In other words, wool or linen adheres tightly to the hair and therefore is a chatzitza. Let's say a woman wears a sheitel when she goes to the mikveh, so that's not a chatzitza, right? Because it's not, well, truly it's not a good example because it has other stuff probably underneath the sheitel. But hypothetically speaking, hair is not a chatzitza in hair, okay? Doesn't adhere closely to it. Unless, of course, it's knotted. That we'll see momentarily. Al daiti Rabbi Yehuda. Now, this is not clear at all what this line means. Something's wrong with it, and I didn't get a chance today. I was preparing on the plane. I didn't get a chance to look at all the cheat books. But according to Pnei Moshe, it means like this: Al daiti Rabbi Yehuda el shel tzemer. According to Rabbi Yehuda, that which Rabbi Yehuda, I forgot. There's a part of the Brisa missing. The Brisa is supposed to say that Rabbi Yehuda argues. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Both shel tzemer and shel seir ein chotzitzim." Okay, it says Tamid el chotzim b'adam chutei tzemer chutei bishtan v'artzu shebroshe bonos, and then immediately thereafter it should say that Rabbi Yehuda says that tzemer and seir are not a chatzitza. Both wool and hair are not a chatzitza. Shmuel Amar leis kan shel seir. Now Shmuel says you might understand that the Rabbanan argue on hair as well as on wool, right? And they hold that wool and hair both are chatzitza. Says Shmuel, don't understand it that way. Hair is not a chatzitza, even according to Rabbanan. Al daiti the Rabbi Yehuda, elo shel tzemer, who shall say elo shel tzemer. Now, that which Rabbi Yehuda was trying to say, Rabbi Yehuda was trying to say again, I'm not fitting this well into the words because I don't know how it fits into the words. But he says, Rabbi Yehuda was bringing in hair and saying, listen guys, to the Rabbanan, you concede to me the point on hair. Concede to me the point also on wool. Okay? On that they said back, no. We concede to you on hair, but we don't concede on wool, because wool is different. So that Hashel Seir, but hair is certainly not a chatzitza. Okay, so somehow the line has to be readjusted to give you that import, but I don't know how to do it exactly.
No,
okay?
They're making a blanket gezerah on the possibility that she's going to mikvah on Shabbos.
That's right. You got it. We're going to have other reasons later on, but that's for this. Right. Correct. Okay? Why?
Because
it's a 1/7 chance, 1 in 7 chance, right?
It's more than 1/7.
No, she'll have to go to the mikveh on that day.
On a Shabbos.
Yeah, so.
Once a month.
But still, I mean, okay, fine. You mean 1 in 7, 1 day a month, but it was still, it's enough scattered among all the women of Klal Yisrael. It's enough of Xera that it was deemed necessary. The truth is, though, in the old days also, it's not true necessarily. They only went once a month because they went for Tuman Tara. No, besides that, Tuman Tara Stam. If a woman would have to come in contact with Sheretz, well, Sheretz is most likely scenario, but something of that cell with this ilk, and then her nevela, and then she has to go to the mikveh. So in order to do Tuman Tara, so then she's going to have to also be matir. Okay, so it's possible. Rabbi Ba b'shem Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Zira b'shem Rabbanan said, Hoysa nima achas chotzetzes. If it's one hair, it's a chatzitza. We know this for many times in the Bavli. One hair knotted on itself is a chatzitza. 2 hairs knotted with each other, shtaim is a suffix. Shalosh, 3 hairs, ain't a chatzitza, it's not a chatzitza because the knot is too loose. Rabbi Zira asked, now, the Mefarshim are not clear. So I think what he said, Rabbi Zira, I think we are boy actually is not a question but a statement, as we find many times. So Rabbi Zira said, Kosher nima l'chaverta achas. If you tie, the truth is it's not one knotted on itself, but even one knotted to another one, that's also called achas. So really, 2 is 1, because it's one knotted to another, and that's a chatzitza. L'shtayim shtayimin. If you have one hair which is knotted onto another 2 hairs, then it's like 2 hairs, it means that it's a suffix. L'sholosh sholoshin. If you have one hair knotted onto 3 other hairs, that's definitely not tied properly, and everybody agrees that that's considered not to be a chatzitza. That's how so he actually learns what we call 1, 2, 3. He calls 0, 1, 2, and 3 is, of course, we have 4 hairs in the scenario. Yeah. Okay. Says Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Zushi Yoredis for a woman who goes down to the mikveh l'nidosa, because she's a nida. Kaisha Sara, she ties her hair kizon of asus, like the hair of like the tail of a horse. No, she makes a ponytail, right? Lo'ovra to I forgot what lo'ovra means. To pass it through the water. And she relies on that. In other words, she combs out her hair and puts it into a ponytail, and then she's allowed to go to the mikveh. That way she doesn't have to be worried about chatzitza. Okay? Kana shol Rav. Kana asks Rav, a new issue. Ma'u meipak bilin techaya. Is a woman allowed to go out on Shabbos with a certain kind of belt? It's not a belt around the waist. It's a belt which you wear for ornamentation or other parts of the body. So is she allowed to wear it out on Shabbos? Amar lo, so he said, Kena Amrin, were we to answer these small belts, then also it would not be permissible to go out with regular belts, right? With belts around the waist. So it must be that belts are not a problem because everybody wears their belts and their gartels out on Shabbos. Okay? Rav Huna already lead to say, Rav Huna Paskin for the wife, the Reish Galusa of the Reish Galusa, Mitin Livra de Dahava Pilta. She was allowed to put a golden kerchief on her hat. That was permissible. Okay? Seems like this is on top of a hat, so the chara would be superfluous, right? Because it's a double covering, right? It's not necessary, nonetheless she was allowed to do so. Rabbi Yochanan Ilan de Beis Boon. Rabbi Yochanan Pascal also the house of Boon. The house of Boon was a well-known house of rich people at the time. Of course, not well-known to us, but a significant household like that of Reish Galusa. Tamina Talia, the Margalisa, they're allowed to put 8 strands of pearls al parznasa on their parznasa, and I forget what a parznasa is. Also, some sort of jewelry.
I thought they didn't allow jewelry.
What?
They didn't allow tashit to be worn.
Right. So the Pnei Moshe says, Parznisa, I don't know exactly, some sort of hat or something. Pnei Moshe says that since they were so choshev, right? So therefore they didn't have to show it off. It's the nouveau riche who have to show off their wealth, right? So therefore they have to flaunt it. So this is old money. So therefore they didn't have a necessity to go around waving their jewelry in other people's eyes. Well, the fact that it's more cynical will not necessarily make a shot. You could try, but it's probably drush. Yes, go on.
They were so wealthy that no one would dare say anything about you're not allowed to do this.
Yeah. All right. I don't think so, but you're welcome to. You're entitled to your opinion about it, but I don't think that's the shot. Amrei Rabbi Ilo, kol mechuber l'ksus, anything which is attached to a garment, it's like the garment you're allowed to wear out on Shabbos. With Tina, we learned Yaitu bezugin shebeksuso, a person allowed to go out with bells on his garments. Yaitu bezugin shebetzaro, not a bell on his neck. I don't know. I guess it's on a necklace. Istani Tani, there are those who said bein elu makablim tuma. It makes no difference whether the bell is attached to your garment or attached to you or dangling on you. They're both not makabel tuma. Istani Tani, there are both other tanoim who learned bein elu. I skipped. I did. The first one is bein elu makablim tuma. That they are makabel tuma. Istani Tani, those say bein elu ain't makabel tuma. They're not makabel tuma. Mandamar ben elu makabel tuma. Both of them makabel tuma. B'shasalen ambule. So he made a clapper inside the bell. Mandamar ben elu ain't makabel tuma. That they're not makabel tuma. B'shalasulen ambule. You didn't make a clapper inside the bell. Afilu basalem ambule yotoirid. Ask the Gemara. I don't understand. Even made a clapper, you should be tahar. V'lokin am Rabbi the Rabbi say Shem Rabbi Yochanan, and Shem Rabbi say name Rabbi Yochanan. Bezugin shebarei. So if you have a bell which is on a crib or on a cradle, train Amoraim. We have 2 Amoraim. One of them said you're allowed to carry the cradle back and forth as long as you don't make noise with it. The other one said if the cradle's bells had already been used once in the history of the cradle to produce a voice, usher, and if then it's forbidden to move the cradle. However, in Lav, it was never used to produce a sound. Mutter, then you're allowed to move the cradle. This is a very interesting halacha. What we're saying is that the cradle has to be not just intended to. It's not enough to put the bells on the cradle, but rather the bells have to have some beneficial purpose which they've already served at the very least, in order to be makabel the din of usher to carry on Shabbos, in order to be muktzah on Shabbos. No. Trying to be roundabout at the Isser of Tumantara. That's the din of Tumantara. So here we see in order. Yeah. No, we were saying Tomei and Tahar. Ben Elu Makal Matuma, Ben Elu Lo Makal Matuma.
That's right, but now we're saying...
No, but we're coming back towards Sumantara. That's not an end in and of itself, the Ashmos Kol issue. You're right, we are bringing down here the issue of Ashmos Kol, but it's not an issue in and of itself. Okay? So it says the Gemara again, Taman, so it says when we see here that it has to do, even if it has a clapper. The intent was not for it to become a mashmiya kol, something which produces a sound. So it's not necessarily a mashmiya kol, right? So it says, even if they're not made to produce a sound on Shabbos, they're made to produce a noise on weekdays. But here, in other words, over there by the cradle, so we look at whether they certainly are made to produce a sound. You might not want that sound on Shabbos, so it's still made to produce a sound, right? I'm not sure I have that right now. The question, let's reconstruct in a minute. The question is that we see over there that even if it has a clapper, it's not necessarily going to be also to move on Shabbos, right? Because it's not automatically assumed to be made in order to make a sound, right? Depends if used in the past or not, and depends also right now, according to the other Mandamar, if it's also Lashmei Sokol, you made in order to produce a sound. So you see, it's not just enough to put in a clapper, you also have to have the intent to make the clapper useful, right? Clapper has to be an essential component of the use of the bell. So here too, let's say that even if it has a clapper already, if your intent is not to use a clapper, but just for adornment, right? So then it shouldn't be also it should not be Makabel Tumah. It's only Makabel Tumah if it actually is a useful tool. If it's not a useful tool, it's not Makabel Tumah. We see over there that even if it has a clapper, it might not still be considered useful as of yet as a clapping implement. So it says the Gemara again, if they're not made to produce noise on Shabbos, they're made to produce noise on weekdays. I don't like this either. It's really backwards. What it should be is, even if they're made to produce... Something's funny here. I didn't know his name Moshe before. He says a very interesting thing. He says over there, says over there's an issue of whether the clapper is going to make a noise or not. Let's see to get inside. Tommy, they're not made to produce sound. The Shabbos, on Shabbos, they're made to produce noise on a weekday. So therefore, it says that the question is, since they're made to produce noise, whether they do produce noise. That's the intent. The intent of the bell on the cradle is to produce noise. Puts the kids to bed, whatever, to let you know if there's a problem. It's made to produce noise. So therefore, we look at the definition, whether it's noise producing or not. And if it's noise producing on Shabbos or not. That's an issue over there. But by us, if they're not made to produce voice neither on Shabbos nor on weekdays, because they're affixed to a garment, why do you make them a clapper? Now, this is a rhetorical question. What it really means to say is that the clapper is an end in and of itself. It's not in order that it should make noise. Over there, vis-a-vis the cradle, the purpose of the clapper is to make noise. And that's why I look at whether the clapper is functional on Shabbos or not. Whether it was once mashmiya kol and was made for that purpose or not. Here, everybody knows that the bells that you wear in your garment are not made to be mashmiya kol. They're just decoration. So what is the purpose of the clapper here? Nothing to do with voice or noise. It's not a question of noise. It's a question of whether the clapper is part and parcel of the finished vessel. And the answer here, inevitably, in other words, is not considered finished until the clapper is put on. Here the answer is inevitably, is considered finished once the clapper is put on. And here the answer is inevitably yes, because here the clapper is not made for producing sound, the clapper is made for ornamentation.
So when it makes the noise?
Yeah. If a guy wears garments which have bells on them, which just says mutter on Shabbos because it's not an inadvertent noise. Right. It's not an intentional noise. No, we're reflecting back onto Matar from the parameters of Hashma's call on Shabbos. We're saying that only something, if in a place where Hashma's call is the end, so then we look at whether it's being mashmiya kol or not. If Hashma's kol is not the end, so then we look at the affixing of the clapper in and of itself to determine the status, regardless of whether it's making sound. Okay? Is that clear? Is that clear? So that's what he's saying. We look at the sound itself. We look at the sound only where the sound is significant, and that's by the cradle. We don't look at the sound where the sound is insignificant, then that's by the garment. Which is interesting because by Aaron HaKohen, it does say v'lishma kulo v'vo l'kodesh, right? So Hitaka wanted to have it for the Hashma's kol. But they say normally there is no concept of Hashma's kol by garments, and therefore we're just going to go by the fixing of the clapper, regardless of whether it makes a sound or not. Okay? Says more further. Totafos, not with Totafos, she can't go out. What is Totafos? Rabbi Bun Bar Chia said, Kuvtira, something which she puts on her head. Totafos, something she puts where tefillin would be. V'lobasan Butin, Tzovan Tusvar. Okay, another type of jewelry. It's something which goes down her sides of her cheeks. V'loba Kavul, Tvusa. This is a wool caplet, which goes under her chador, under her tichel, whatever they wore. Okay, it keeps it off, right? A form. No, they don't make them that way. They're out of style. Snoods are in. All right. My sister sells snoods. My sister says she sells snoods. There are two here in America, there are two producers in the United States who make them. For the Gans United States, there are two producers of snoods. Okay. Says love a kavul. Just tvuso tani Rabbi Shimon Loza matir. So it's okay. Rabbi Shem Kano said, ask Rabbi Shimon Loza kerebi. Rabbi Shimon is going like Rebbe. Kamada Rebbe Amar Davashu Tamun Mutter. Any jewelry which is not revealed, which is not on the surface, is okay. Why is that? Because she's not going to take it off. Right? It's underneath her clothing. She can't get it out. Right? Can Rabbi Shimon Amar Davashu Tamun Mutter. Okay. Tachshitin Lamahin Masuri. Why is jewelry forbidden? Now here's reason number 3 in the Yerushalmi. Because woman, I don't think there's any Hebrew English word for that. In Hebrew, in modern Hebrew, there's a slang word for it. It's a schwitzer. A schwitzer is somebody who goes, show off, right? Boastful, okay? So, V'matros matarton. So she she loosens them l'chaverta to show her friend. V'shchucha malachos ban arba amos. She's going to walk with them 4 amos. So before we had the gzeira with the stuff in her hair that she's going to take it off, go to the mikvah. Here's the gzeira with the jewelry that she's going to go and she's going to show them to her friend and walk 4 amos.
The Boone family wasn't.
The Boone family wasn't in that. No, of course. That's what it said. Tanya Chavder and Show. Also the Shalchot is not aware of them. You're not allowed to give them as gifts on Yontif. Send them as gifts from one family to another. Amra Munah said, Lo Amaran El Shalchot. It's not true. You're not allowed to send them. Hololav Shal Mutter, but you're allowed to wear them. Just not into wear, which is a rabbin, right? But you're allowed to wear them. Tani Metalti is a shofar lashkos posatinik. We learned you can carry a shofar in order to give a kid to drink. That's a pinkos. It's a pad. That's a karkash. A karkash is a rattle. That's a mara, a mirror. L'chazma is the kelim. All these are muktzah. You're allowed to cover them to cover vessels. By the way, you're allowed to carry a rattle in order to give to a kid. You're not allowed to make noise with it. Makes noise inadvertently, that's okay, but you can give it to a kid and not make noise in front of the kid with the rattle. So that's a shmiya kol. But here, using usually a shma tiyusay, which is my shmiya kol for a mutter purpose, is okay. Amar Rabbi Boone, and one of them is related to the Boone family. Masnisa Amra Kain. Our Mishnah says that. It says Shasal Lovshon. Where does it say Shasal Lovshon? The Tanina says kosher neosim bobi yontif, anything which you can derive pleasure from yontif. Mishalchan also yontif. You're allowed to send it. So if you're going to say you're allowed to wear this jewelry, you should be allowed to send this jewelry around on yontif as well. Okay, Gemara doesn't really address that. It says what is that? What you said? Metaltiness are shofar allowed to carry shofar lashkos basatinok, in order to give it. Well, actually, when it says you're allowed to take a shofar to give a kid to drink, that's a karkash. It's really a question. Ask more. Wait a minute. These are things you can't send on Yontif, right? You can't send people a shofar because it's muktzah. You can't send people a pinkos, of course, a pad or a paper or whatever it is, and this karkash and mari, you can't send it to people, right? Yet nonetheless, it says you can use them. So you see that there is a dichotomy between stuff you can send and stuff you can use, right? You're allowed to carry a shofar to give a kid to drink. There's a karkash v'samara. And the rattle and the mirror l'chasba is okay to cover the dishes. So it says it's different. I don't understand the Gemara's answer. Gemara says, "Sheyesh le'toar keli." It's got the form of a vessel. I don't understand what that means. Because the clear of this, here we're talking about the jewelry. It's got the form of a vessel too. But we're asking sending jewelry. It's going back to Rabboon, right? Rabboon said it's also to send and to wear jewelry. So the Gemara, because since it's also to send, it must be also to wear. So the Gemara asks, what do you mean? We have this case where it's also to wear, or also to use. Sorry, also to send, but you are allowed to use it, such as the shofar, right? So it should be mutter to use the jewelry as well, right? Let's say in your own home. So the Gemara, I think what the Gemara is answering is, a shofar looks like a cup. A mirror looks like a cover. So does a rattle. So you're allowed to use it for that purpose. It's like klisha mlachtulis or tzor gufa makomo. A piece of jewelry is not a vessel. And therefore they made a muktzah, they made it my little muktzah machmas gufo. He does say that? I was looking to pay motion for it and say that. He said, I probably have it underlined. I do. I simulated it. So that's my excuse. So that's what the Gemara is saying, that the Torah Keli is such that these things look like quasi like this type of tashmish, and therefore you're allowed to use it for that purpose, whereas the other things do not. Okay. Says the Gemara, Ad Kedut Takshitim shows up. I understand gold you can't wear because you're going to show it. What about silver, right? Cheap sterling jewelry. Avil Takshitim show kesef. Some said it's also. Some said it's mutter. Rabbi Chizkiah said, I know both beginning and end. In other words, I know how this conflict came about into what Rabbi Yirmiyah said. Tayan the Kikin, young girl children actually, Havia Misrabin Bidarted Rabbi Yirmiyah. They were going Rabbi Yirmiyah's courtyard, and they were wearing this jewelry on Shabbos. So Asher Rabbi Zir came and asked Rabbi Zir if he had to protest it. They said, Lo Tisur, Lo Tishrei. Now it's asr, you're not allowed to prohibit, you're not allowed to permit. So therefore, he was stuck in the middle. And sometimes he'll give the implication that he's matir, sometimes he'll give the implication that he's asr. Okay? Says the Gemara, Hein roim b'mar b'Shabbos. One is not allowed to use a mirror on Shabbos. Imaisaklu because it was fixed on the wall. Rabbi Matir and Chachoi Mosim. Rabbi Mitzin and Chachoi Matzis. We had this also at the end of the Bavli. Rabbi Yaakov Shem Rabbi Ba said, "Time odadein daas." The reason the person who has his pamim shu roa nima achas levana. Sometimes he sees a white hair. He told Shas he's going to pluck it out. V'ubali de chiyuv chatos. He comes to the chiyuv chatos, right? Because of plucking, right? And here it says interesting. That's both men and women. V'aish a man afilu b'chol aser. Even a weekday you can't look in a mirror. Why? She'ain't their cover. It's not their cover. Now, if it's going in the mirror, I understand why it's not their cover, because it means that a person's too interested in his looks. But the Pnei Moshe, I think, says, the Korban Eidah says that it's going on why you can't pluck the white hairs out of the black hairs. So what do you see if it's not their cover? What do you see about this of plucking white hairs out of black hairs? No, women are allowed to do that.
Yeah, but the men are not allowed to imitate the women.
Does it sound here though like a deraisa d'Rabbanan? Deraisa? Oh, come on. Ain't it their covered as deraisa?
Korban Eidah says it.
Korban Eidah. You have an open mind. Korban Eidah. So nachron. What does it sound like she ain't there covered? It sounds like a Rabbanan. Okay? To me, it sounds like a Rabbanan. So it would sound like, wouldn't be Lo Yubash, the Doraisa. Right? Lo Yubash Shataka. I know, but it doesn't sound like it for the Gemara. You gave me the Gemara?
He says the Yisur is not plucking. He says the Yisur is looking.
Yeah, but that's not this of Lo Yubash. That certainly can't be this of Lo Yubash Doraisa. Look in the mirror, I don't think it'll be this of Lo Yubash. Yeah. You're right, it does say that. Yeah, but look at Pnei Moshe. Okay, so that's going on the plucking. Okay? In any event, yeah, because that's what makes you look, doesn't make you look like a woman, but it gives you the same value system as a woman. Right. That's would be the prohibition. But I don't like it. Sounds to me as only the Rabbanon. Okay. Says the Gemara, it says Yud Gimel, it should be Gimel. Shlosh Dvarim, Hitil Beis Rabbi. They permitted three things in the house of Rabbi. Shiur Roim B'mar, they could use a mirror. Shiur Misapin Kuma, they could have short haircuts. A special way the Goyim used to get haircuts. Shiur Mulamnim V'Spinei bodies. Excuse me, that they could teach their children Greek. It's quick in the Malchus because they had to deal with the government. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Mutal adam l'lamed is bito yivanis." One is allowed to teach one's daughter Greek. Not one's son should be learning Torah day and night. But when Greek, once a daughter can learn Greek, they should tachshit law because it's no what? A jewel. No. Means I should get a higher dowry for it. Yeah, she's more polished. Yeah. No. Shama Shimbarva, or Shimbarva, this from, and he said, begin to Rabbi Avo, boy milfasei bonanza yivonis, because Rabbi Avo wanted to teach his daughters Greek. Who tale Rabbi Yochanan? He claimed it was Rabbi Yochanan. See, he was like you. He was cynical. So he said, it says Gemara, Shama Rabbi Avo. Rabbi Avo heard this. Uman, he said, Yavo alai. May there come upon me bad things. He said. If I didn't hear from Rabbi Yochanan, in other words, he promised he had her name Rabbi Yochanan. Time we learned any to yeah. But maybe that's why she was worth more in marriage. But you're right, I guess not.
She's a bigger mitzvah.
I don't know. You're right. It doesn't seem to sound like it has anything to do with the dowry. Okay, it says more further. Tani, we learned, Ein Yertzim Be'istama. You're not allowed to go out with an istama. What's an istama? We don't know. But it seems like it's a kind of hat. It's kind of that which she wears underneath to cover her small hairs. It's like a support hat. You know,
like the women wear now. They wear a hat and they wear this thing in the back to keep their ponytail.
Right, that's something similar. But this would be under the hat as opposed to behind the hat. The same idea, though. Okay, I see you're up on women's fashion, Dr. Snow. It's good. Okay? Says Laura. That's all because they all come in for eye exams, right? Tani, we learned. It's made out of wool and linen, but it's not sewn because it doesn't go on the outside; it goes underneath the tichel. So therefore, it's pressed. And pressed, we learned back in Masechta Kilayim is not shiur shatnez, right? Therefore, it's not sewn. It's like felt. Every time a time been a goyim, time it gets harassed. When it's Shabbos, was not allowed to wear a Shabbos. Rishum laws are mer af aimbo mishum. Right. Rishum laws are mer aimbo mishum atros the kalos. Kalos are not allowed to wear crowns. It's not considered a crown because it's a partial thing. Rabbi Yerushalmi, a woman's not allowed to go out with a city made out of gold. Rabbi America going to Yerushalayim the dav. It's not allowed to wear the song, right? It's not allowed to wear Yerushalayim made out of gold. She's not allowed to. Rabban in the case, sorry, I mean, plosh tuktakli. Nobody knows what that means. I didn't get a chance to look on Lieberman today, but it's probably Greek for something about his jewelry. Okay. They changed the gear, so because nobody knows exactly what it means. But anyway, I'm sure it has some Greek origin. Very famous Allah statement. Rabbi Kiva made for his wife Rachel this ear shozot. Chamsa eat the Sidra Gamliel's wife saw it. But Kanya's bunch, she was joking. She wanted a city cold as well, right? Asked his farmers, she came and said to her husband, Gamliel, I want this, right? So she said, he said to her, Amar said, Hachin havas avart li. If up till now you would have done to me, Kamod Havis of the sleigh like she did for him, the Havas Mizabna Makliosa, the ratio she would sell the tresses of her hair, the Yava lane give to him, Viyu Loiba Raisa, and he will tell on Torah, then I would have given you one, but you haven't done it. What have you done for me lately that I should give you in the Yerushalmi? Okay? Tavat we learned over there. Shneim. Two things. Mishum Elazar, name Rebbe Elazar. Yotzi Shabir Shazav, woman's allowed to wear a saddle. The second thing is not brought down here. The Torah and Shorishim in the back brings down. The second thing is that people who raise pigeons are postulatus. If it's a totally happens non sequitur, but happens to be that they were brought down together. Yeah, but it's not the Rebbe Lezer over there. Not Rebbe Lezer. Says more. Tani Mishem Meir Mechayev. Meir says. Meir says if you go out in this Irshal Zav, you're Chayev Chatos. Now, Ben Meir Rabbana Nichol. Rabbana come in the middle. They say it's Potter Avaloser. I understand the Machlokas between Meir and Rabbana. It makes sense. Meir and Mechayev. Chayim Pocher. Meir says it's Chayev the Raisa. Chayim say it's only Chayev the Rabbana, not the Raisa. Ben Rabbi Lezer Rabbana, and the other Rabbi Lezer says it's Mutter, and Rabbana say it's Potter Avaloser. So that also makes sense. Nichol Rabbi Lezer Matei Chayim Moser. Rabbi Lezer says Mutter. Chayim say it's also. However, Ben Rabbi Lezer Kasha, I give a polar Machlokas. We had this question right before. I think in the Bavli. That one opinion says it's completely mutter, and the other opinion holds you're chayav chatos. You find machlokas she mutter and potter. Well, let's say she potter and chayav, but you never find machlokas which mutter and chayav appear in the same breath. Okay, and the word doesn't answer it. Well, the word just finishes the question. Meir mechayev, Rabbi Lezer Matei, I gave such machlokas, and the word doesn't answer that. Rabbi Inainu Basisei. Why am I Rabbi Shmuel Lezer say name Rabbi Lezer? Any place where the Chazal said don't go out. In the stuff, and if you do go out, so any type of that jewelry, so she's not allowed even to wear it out to her courtyard, because she might go out with it. So they said she shouldn't wear out to Rosh Hashanah, however she does. She's not liable to chatos. So then, Mutar said to Chatzar is allowed to wear it to a Chatzar as long as she doesn't wear it to Rosh Hashanah. Okay? Right? Bar Kohen, B'Shem Rav Sheshes, see, we paskin nowadays that all of our Rosh Hashanah have a din of Chatzar, so therefore we're matir women to wear jewelry. One of the many. Limud Schus, giving on women wearing jewelry. Okay? Right? Bar Kohen, B'Shem Rav Sheshes said, also underneath the Techel, Chatzar she's allowed to go out in the courtyard. Rabbi Eli of Shem Moshe ben Barchia said, "I feel Makom Sharma lo Teitzei." In a place where Chazal said she shouldn't go out. Yotza Eina Chayav Chatos, so just that if she goes out, that she's not Chayav Chatos. Asura lo Tzeis Bo B'Chatzar. She's not allowed to wear that adornment into the Chatzar because she might come out to take a Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Va'isha Deishei Noch Shachutz Mutter. All these things are jewelry. Men can wear. Why can men wear? Because they are not Shachzanim, right? Says the Gemara, let me bring you a proof from here. Gamliel went down to take a tiul in his koyar Shabbos. It seems his tiul koyar did not have an eruv. And he had a golden key in his hand. Now this is a very funny thing. I think in his hand means on a bracelet. Because in his hand, once it's push, it can't be matir. It can only be in a bracelet. Okay? Nonetheless, they asked him. It would be like a Shabbos bracelet where the key is part of the contraption. So says Gemara, so he said B'Shum Tachshit. So he said it. No, it's a Tachshit. One second. No one's on. Yeah, but that's not explicit in Gemara, isn't it? You're right. That's what it should say, but it doesn't say it explicitly in the Gemara that that's what's going on here. I'm agreeing with you. Okay? So he went down and he said it's a takshi, and they said it's not a takshi. But even if it's a takshi, it's still not allowed to carry on to the field. So says more from this we learn three things. Hadamara. Where am I? So we see even if it's made for the purpose of being a takshid, it's forbidden. And here we learn also if it's made for both a takshid and for getting into the house, because I guess it was a silver, we said it's a gold coin, right? it's still usher. And Adam runs this and also echla ish ve'echla isha. Seems that a man is also usher, because what are Pharaoh and Gamliel is going to do? Show around the bracelet, right? So it says in the Gemara, well, we also learn from here that if a place where Chazal say you shouldn't go out, and if you do your potter, so nonetheless, Asur Lotzis B'Chal is not allowed to wear it out into a courtyard. Okay, because that's what it says here. All the stuff that weren't permitted to wear out. Okay? No limit schus here. Down with the women. All right, aloha base. Lo yetze odem b'sandal. Let's say ish b'sandal. So a person should not go out with a studded sandal. Lo b'yachid, nor with a single sandal. B'zman she'ein b'raglo mako, unless he has a wound on his foot. Lo b'tefillin, person should not wear out his tefillin. V'lo b'kamir, nor an amulet. B'zman she'en milcha, if it's not an expert amulet. V'lo b'shiryo, not armor. V'lo b'kasa, not a helmet. V'lo b'makafayim, not war boots. If he did, ain't a chayav chatas, not a chiv chatas. Okay? Why were they made it not to wear these studded sandals? So it says, it's Rosh Mapilos, when the women in the cave were hiding from the goyim, were coming to attack them on Shabbos. So when they saw the studded sandals gleam, so they all miscarried. So that's why it's awesome. It's not brought down in the Bavli. They're the voice of who we're talking about? The Greeks. And that's why they Romans, and that's why they miscarried. Rabbi Yetzerin says that. It wasn't just that miscarried, they pressed against each other and wearing the studded sandals, so they killed each other, like Ty Cobb, right? So yeah, I know that. Ty Cobb, right? He wore spikes. Did you know that? Even I know. This is Davria Dua, though, that he
tried to spike people as a slide.
Yeah. Okay.
This studded sandal, is that the one that is the same backwards and forwards? There was an Isur.
Yeah.
So did it tell you?
I don't know. I didn't finish the study yet. I only did a few lines on Lamed Hey Manal. So says Gemara. So they used to kill each other with this, right? Name. What's the difference? Hadusta. If it doesn't have any, if the studs are underneath the foot, like cleats, as opposed to coming out all around it, right? So it says the Gemara. In that case, if all the studs are underneath, so then nobody's going to see, no women is going to see this, and they're not going to be afraid of it, right? He says that they heard it, or they were pressed against each other. So, also, according to them, it's forbidden to wear this studded sandal on Shabbos. Ask the Gemara, when we make this gezerah, the time when there are persecutions. Came and have no more persecutions, so forget it. Let's be matir the studded sandal again, right? Says more, Rav lo ama based in a bito. Even if the time of the Shema has passed, you needed to have a conscious act of basing to cancel the previous decree, and one like that never took place. Now me'ata filu b'chol. As for that's the case, so Shimon uses this on a weekday, right? Shouldn't even use it on a weekday. Should not use it, says the started sound on a weekday. So it says more funny thing. Well, actually, it's not a funny thing. It's a famous thing. Rav urchi de barnasha mehevele train sandolin chad l'choyle v'chad l'shabsa. They didn't have to make a decree on a weekday because most people don't have two sets of shoes for Shabbos and weekdays. So what do you see from this? Very famous Gemara. I mean, this is basic deal. That people didn't change shoes for Shabbos.
There was no such thing as Shabbos.
No such thing as Shabbos, or at least it wasn't. So I saw somebody brought down, he said it wasn't Urachara. But it's still laudable behavior to have your special shoes for Shabbos. Right. Not shoes. Okay? Those you have to change though. All right. Says on Shabbos. No, it seems that they were too poor; they couldn't afford it. That's what it boils down to. And truth is, I would add another thing here, which is sandals are not like shoes. The sandals are sandals, right? Shoes, there's a difference which ones you wear, but sandals are all the same. Right? Especially today, in the days in Israel's yesteryear when they all wore those Tanachiot, as they were called, biblical type sandals. So they're saying Shabbos. Okay, Tani Torah of Matlis Milamatan Mutter. We learned if you cover the studs with a shmata, then that's okay. Rabbi Shmuel said, Rabbi Shmuel have us ragli shchaka. He had a rubbed off foot. In other words, it was in bad shape. And they made for him such a scenario for him to walk on his bad foot in that way. Kama 3 boy. How many nails can it have? So Rabbi Yochanan tops maximum. Yochanan Amar Chamisha K'Chamisha Sifrei Torah. 5 like the 5 books of the Torah. So I saw that Mashbiach says it has nothing to do with Chumash, obviously. It's just that they were so holy that they wanted to remember things, halachas, in conjunction with, holy things. Rabbi Chananya, this is cute. Shiva, you get 7 because it says Ukiyamecha Davecha. It says Barzel Nechoshes Mino Lecha Ukiyamecha Davecha. Metal and copper will be your shoes. Uchiyamecha, like your seas, davecha, I forget what davecha means. But the point is, not like your seas, like your days. 7 days. Uchiyamecha davecha, right, 7 days. That's how you got 7. Okay. Rabbi, yeah, well, that's true. Well, that's pretty good.
It's just like Echad Yodea.
Right. No, exactly. It's very similar. Neither about a car, Rabbi China. They did like Rabbi China. Davish Rabbi Yaakov, Hashem Rabbi China said Tisha. He said, "Oh, they do Rabbi China. Let me put in my own 2 cents and name Rabbi Chanina." 9. And Rashi says, the Korban says Mavish, like she said, like Knega Tisha Yarche Ledo. Tisha Miyodeh. Okay. Thing is, we don't get that far. We don't get that far as Rebbe. Rabbi and I said, Shloshim would put 13 studs in one, 11 in the other. Kimina Mishmoros. Masmeros Mishmoros. Right. Because the Samach and the Sin are and the Shin are almost interchangeable. Okay? Mamas Mishmoros Chavtal, Masmer Chavtal. 24. Rabbi Eschei said, Klibitz Eno Min HaCheshben. If you have a staple which goes both sides back into the shoe, it's not it's not one of the 24. You get more. You put all 24 in one sandal. Right? Rebbe did 13 and 11. I don't know exactly why. You put all 24 in one sandal. Amalei Shari said it's okay. Amalei Mali name Agabi Minalechot. One shoe. Same idea. Amalei Shari. The truth is, we'll stop here because the rate did blood. This starts in the sun.
You know about the dance. That was a whole scandal. As each number went up,